So at the same time that Joe Biden and the Democrats have been having an excellent week, Donald Trump has been having a pretty terrible one. Let's talk about it in today's video.
So there are 5 people taking the Fifth Amendment, like you see on the mob, right? You see the mob takes the Fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country has taken. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. So you just saw Donald Trump in Iowa in 2016 talking about how only the mob pleads the Fifth. Well, guess who pleaded the Fifth now? And that would be Donald Trump. Yes, it must suck to have to eat your words, but Donald Trump knows well about that. Because after all, the one place where Donald Trump isn't able to lie is in court. And for all intents and purposes, a deposition, where you are sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, is the equivalent of having to testify in court. So Donald Trump found himself in quite a conundrum there. In fact, I gotta tell you, if I were one of Donald Trump's lawyers, I probably would have been advising him, please plead the Fifth. As we know from his time in office, Donald Trump seems to be incapable of telling the truth. And what's more is he kind of spins off into these fantasies in left field, which, as a lawyer for him, I gotta tell you, I would have been pretty scared about him doing. So it's not terribly surprising that actually Donald Trump pleaded the Fifth, but he did it with such style, you gotta give him credit. I mean, in this deposition that he was called into by Attorney General Letitia James, who has been pursuing a civil investigation against Donald Trump and his companies in New York State, Donald Trump pleaded the Fifth more than 400 times. That might be a record. In fact, I think Donald Trump could safely say that he has pleaded the Fifth way more times than Joe Biden or Barack Obama ever did. For that matter, way more times than Hillary Clinton ever did. But pleading the Fifth in this case isn't quite as easy a call as Donald Trump makes it seem in the statement he released defending himself. After all, you have to remember, the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution protects an individual from self-incrimination in a criminal case. And so something that is quite unique to American law, by the way, is that the prosecutor can't call you into court, ask you questions, and then if you refuse to answer them, can't hold that against you. That's a reaction to the way the British used to operate here in the colonies, which, frankly, the Founding Fathers didn't like very much, so they said, hey, we're going to protect ourselves against this with an amendment to the Constitution. But this case is not a criminal case. This case is a civil case, which means that Donald Trump could not go to jail for it. He could potentially face substantial damages, those being money, which I have long argued Donald Trump isn't nearly as rich as he claims to be. But as a result of that, the Fifth Amendment actually doesn't protect you in a case like that. In other words, unlike in a criminal case, in a civil case like this one, the prosecutor, who is called the plaintiff in a case like that, would be able to specifically say to the jury, we asked Donald Trump this question and he refused to answer. Now, I can tell you there's been quite a bit of research done on this question, and generally speaking, when people are presented with this fact, it is perceived, as Donald Trump quite correctly acknowledged in that Iowa speech back in 2016, it's perceived as an admission of guilt. And in this case, which has to do with whether Donald Trump essentially lied on his tax returns and on applications for loans, essentially valuing properties at different amounts of money based upon how he would financially benefit the most, it appears that there's pretty substantial evidence that he's guilty of that, and he's going to be in trouble. But as it turns out, this civil case brought by the New York Attorney General is not the only problem that Donald Trump is having. As you all know, I've been calling for quite some time for Merrick Garland to get a little bit aggressive and to enforce the laws that Donald Trump broke willy-nilly both during his time in office and thereafter. And I've been quite frustrated by the Department of Justice's seeming inaction. I mean, contrary to the hysterical claims of Republicans that we're turning America into a banana republic by searching a former president's house, the reality is we'd be turning America into a banana republic if we didn't enforce the law against a former president. I mean, whatever happened to the idea that nobody is above the law? Well, the most telling thing about the hysterical reaction by Republicans, by the way, is that they claim repeatedly that we really don't know what is in this warrant. So everything they're saying is basically speculation based upon sources. But one thing that's worth remembering is that Donald Trump supporters don't need to speculate, because guess who has the warrant? That would be Donald Trump's lawyers. So if Donald Trump wanted to defend himself and show how baseless this warrant is, they could simply release the warrant, which that shows that actually there's some real evidence backing up this warrant. And this is actually a very correctly issued warrant. To put an exclamation point to that idea, Merrick Garland has admitted the fact that he approved the effort to request this warrant, and that now the Department of Justice was going to ask the court to actually allow it to release the warrant to the public, to unseal it, as the law says. That seems like an appropriate reaction if the Department of Justice feels, as I expect they do, that the overheated rhetoric by the Republicans in response to this search is completely without basis, and that this was a correctly issued warrant based upon substantial evidence. Oh my, God forbid that we actually have facts before we start to make accusations. And one final point about this search is that while Trump supporters have been arguing about how the FBI mishandled this and it's just a political witch hunt, let us remember the fact that the current FBI director was appointed by Donald Trump. So much for those Democrats going after Donald Trump. Well, if you want to see more about Donald Trump and all his legal problems, check out this video over here where I talk about a very serious challenge he's facing brought forth by a prosecutor in Georgia. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.